Let's talk some hoops now with NBC Sports Philadelphia Sixers pre- and post-game analyst Marc Jackson is back with us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. What's going on, Mark?
I'm good, fellas. How are y'all?
We're doing well. It's good to have you back, man. I don't know if you had heard or seen Joel Embiid named to the second team All-NBA. I mean, a heck of an honor for him. He got edged out by Anthony Davis for the center spot there. The Sixers catch a break there, but second team All-NBA defense and second team All-NBA. Really, a nice exclamation point at the end of his second season in the league.
Yes, Joel Embiid came in to this season being healthy. He missed a few games, but he was healthy. They held him out, he had a couple of bumps and bruises, but I was so proud of him, watching him mature, watching him go through the season and finish the season healthy, even though he had a little issue with the eye. He had a little knee bump early in the year, but he did not miss significant time. So this is one thing. We always speak about how he's a two-way player. Finishing with the highest amount of votes and the second team is big-time stuff there. I still think he should be the first team, but we'll take that.
Well, it helped the Sixers out that he doesn't get first team because that means his contract won't go up by 30% there, which would have really affected their free agent status there. But do you think it's time to maybe change the way they do this because these players are so, their salaries are tied to whether they get first team or second team? We have positionless basketball, but you got guys, maybe Anthony Davis played forward for most of the year, but he got first-team center. I mean, so do you think they might need to rethink the way they do this, considering so many guys' salary and money is tied to these awards?
Well, you know what? I like it. I like the salary tied to your achievements because they're not going to put, respectfully, they're not going to put a guy that's on a loser team, they're not going to put a first team or second team. So if you could be a great player, but if you can't help your team win games, they're not going to put you on a first team. So that means you have to put up numbers. You got to be a great player. You got to win to get first, second team. So I like the extra incentive for them. I really do. I really like that extra incentive for teams because it makes your player don't get lazy after he receives that contract. I like it.
You got Damian Lillard, first team over Russell Westbrook. A little bit of a surprise there?
Not for me. Not for me. Damian Lillard is a very underrated player, and let's be honest. Why is he overrated? Because he's playing in Portland. I mean, he's underrated because he's playing in Portland. Mm-hmm. So as long as he's in Portland, he's going to keep being underrated until then. Until now, to get him over Russell Westbrook, I really like this. I think Damian Lillard is a heck of a basketball player, and he's doing big things in Portland, but a lot of people don't get a chance to see Portland play.
Robert Covington, first-team All-NBA defender. Want to get your take on that? I mean, does that kind of validate what a lot of people say all year? I mean, he led the league in deflections, so a lot of people keep pointing at that as to why he might have made that team. And I don't know what that means as to what kind of defender you are on the ball or, what kind of overall defender you are. But Robert Covington, first-team All-NBA defender, does that validate him for you?
It does. It does. I always thought Rocco did little things, really minute things that will go under the radar and people wouldn't pay close attention to it. I really believe that he's earned their right to be considered an all-defensive player on the team because he does little things. But as fans, we see majority of him missing shots, him being inconsistent, and we're screaming, we're throwing a remote at the TV. Like, why, Robert? Why? You got to be able to make a shot. But, hey, he does the other thing that you need to win. For him and Joel Embiid to do what they're doing defensively, that was one of the hallmarks of this defense. This team was able to stride defensively because of the defensive prowess of Joel Embiid and Robert Covington.
So, Mark, what does that say for his struggles in the playoffs? What does he need to improve on defensively where he seemed to struggle at times?
You know what? I thought he did pretty good defensively throughout the year. I thought it was a couple of times he kind of got exposed by Tatum, by Jaylen Brown, mainly by Tatum. Tatum had a few plays he actually blew by Covington and made Covington real bad and actually cut his minutes down. And actually also took him out of the starting position in a few games. So with that being said, I really think he needs to work on consistent shooting. I think his shooting, this team could have – listen, we know Bellinelli. We know JJ. We know Ilya. So we know Dario. They've been consistent for the Sixers all year. Can you imagine if Robinson was a true 3-and-D type player? The spacing was incredible with the guys that the Sixers had that was hitting shots. So if you add another player who's a defensive player that can hit open jump shots, the Sixers have been unbeatable this year, especially, and I really think that was one of the issues with them going past Boston, and that's why they ultimately lost.
Yeah, and you talked about him losing his role. Did he lose his role or did he lose his minutes because of what he was doing on or not doing on the offensive end or the defensive end?
I think it was double duty. I think that was I thought Covington, I think it was rarity this year that you see Covington not do good on both ends. Either he shot the ball well and maybe didn't give his best performance defensively, or he played tremendous defensively and then he couldn't throw it in the ocean. I thought it was a mixture of both versus Boston. I thought he shot the ball poorly, and I also think there's a few plays that was highly exposed that he got beat real quick. Took quick drives, straight line drives to the hoop. And as we all know, when you play in basketball, you cannot give up straight line drives to the basket. He gave that up a few different occasions, and I think that's ultimately what led to his demise and losing his role as a starter.
Mark, you mentioned Marc Jackson's with us, NBC Sports Philadelphia Sixers pre and post, obviously with great observations on both the Sixers and the NBA Finals, Eastern Conference and Western Conference right now. Mark, I do want to ask you this. J.J. Redick came out on a podcast and said the Sixers would have offered Andre Iguodala a contract if Redick chose to go somewhere else. What do you think the Sixers would have looked like this season with Andre Iguodala on the team instead of J.J. Redick?
I think Andre is a tremendous player. I thought when he was at the Sixers, when he was averaging 17 points, 16.5 points a game, and the fans hated him because he wasn't averaging 30 like AI. I always thought that he was my young guy, and when I was Sixers, he's my rookie. So I always thought Andre was a utensil. He could do it all. He was a fork, he was a spoon, he was a knife. He could do it all for you, but he wasn't a prolific scorer. And that was one thing the fans needed at the time when Andre was here. Now, as far as him compared to JJ, they're two totally different players. JJ is primarily just a shooter. You bring him off the floor, his presence alone just spaces the floor for you offensively. Defensively, he's not the best defender. He's not horrible, but he's not the best. Andre Iguodala is an incredible defender. He's also a very good ball distributor, which means he gives you another ball hand on the floor. And also, his jump shooting may not be consistent, but it can get the job done. But I'm worried now, and Andre, up at his years now, can he stay healthy an entire season? I think he can give the Sixers an upgrade at the 3 position. If he plays the 2, he can upgrade the team defensively. But I'll be curious to know how does that affect the shooting. J.J. Redick's presence is so valuable for the fame and stardom that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons is getting because he spaced the floor for them. Even when he was missing, teams still didn't want to take that chance. So they constantly was honing on JJ, which spaced the floor, and they gave driving lanes and scoring opportunities to Ben.
Marc Jackson here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Mark, I want to dive into the current series and get a couple of quick thoughts from you. LeBron last night just seemed like he was tired, run down, I don't know, mentally beat by the fact that, I don't know, that he knows in the back of his mind that this team just simply isn't good enough or whatever it was. Or is it just one of those cases that Boston is? I don't understand it for me why one team can be so much better playing in one on one court with the same height and the same dimensions as another one. But did LeBron just not have it last night, or is Boston just that good at home?
Boston's that good at home. They seem to shoot the ball even better. They all get. One thing that travels with Boston is their defense. But one thing that does not travel is their shooting ability. They struggle to shoot that ball sometimes when they're on the road. But I just thought Cleveland just seemed out of sync. They seem out of sorts. You know, everybody's waiting for LeBron to do his Superman act. And last night, it just seemed like he didn't have it. It seemed like he was a little run down. I thought his energy tank was up and down. I thought sometimes he was full of energy. And then a couple of plays later, I thought he was kind of lagging. And I think because he's playing so many minutes, he's doing so much, I think it's wearing him down. You know, he's having a tough time. These Boston defenders, they're great defenders, even though I respectfully nobody on earth can stop LeBron. But you can make it difficult for him. You can bang on him a little bit. And I think over time, your body wears down, especially when you're the primary ball handler and you have to do everything for your ball club.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, you guys have such different mentality than we do. Sometimes, you're actually in that locker room and you're playing and you're competitive. Do you ever have that feeling that that we're not good enough? Does that ever set into you as a professional and a competitor that, man, I know that we're not good enough?
It does. It does wear on you sometimes when you see you giving your best effort, and then the very next play the team comes out and hit a shot, then they hit another shot, and you get out and miss a shot. You get the ball to their best player, and he's off, or he get a shot blocked, and then that other team comes in and hit a shot. Sometimes it hits you like, well, maybe this team is just that much better than us. And it's something that you don't want to admit, but sometimes you got to face the facts. And you know that it becomes apparent is when you're in film session the next day, you watch a film, and you have your game plan, and your game plan says this, and that team just picks you apart with your game plan. And then it kind of hits you like, maybe we're just not good enough to beat this team. And I don't know if Cleveland's at that point now, because we have seen LeBron pull rabbits out of a hat, but he's going to need to pull an elephant out of a hat with these next two games.
Hey, Mark, are you buying into the Rockets? Is this destined for 7, or does Golden State take care of business?
No, I think this goes 7. One thing I seen last night, I was a teammate with Chris Paul for 2 years. The number one question when I'm going to speak to kids and I'm doing speaking engagements, whatever, they say, one question is they say, who was the toughest guy you ever played with or against? And I'll always say Chris Paul. To me, Chris Paul is the meanest, toughest guy I've ever played with or against. Why? He's only 6'1". He's a little bowling ball, but he plays with such a chip on his shoulder. He literally plays with a mountain on his shoulder. And in that last game, he took that game over in the fourth quarter. He took that win from Golden State. He was just tougher than Golden State's players. It helped that they have James Harden, too. But Chris Paul took that game over. He just did so many things that Golden State couldn't out-tough him. And that's what Chris Paul did. He willed them to that win. And for me, I really believe that Houston has a chance because of Chris Paul's toughness, because of James Harden's ability to score that rock, and Andre Iguodala not being 100%, who's their primary defender, along with Clay. Their two top defenders, both was playing. One was out. The other one was playing with a bum knee.
We got that game for you tonight right here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll see if the Rockets can get a home victory now and put the pressure on Golden State. Marc Jackson. By the way, Mark, you got your camp coming up this summer?
Yeah, man, thanks for asking. So currently my program, my 8-year-old team and my 11-year-old team are on a trip on our way to Orlando to compete in a worldwide Disney Worldwide Sports huge basketball international event. It's going to be spectacular. And this summer I have 2 camps that we're having hold at Girard College. The first one is the week of June 25th. The second one is the week of July 9th. As currently we have 10 kids coming from Florida, a few from South Carolina, as far as Georgia and New York. So we're going to have a blast, very competitive atmosphere, kids trying to get better. You get an ultimate coach for somebody who knows the game and also can teach it. It's going to be great.
And you can register at jacko25llc.com for anybody who is interested in more information on Marc Jackson's basketball camp. It's in the area. And I forgot you played with Chris Paul. Was that New Orleans?
Yes, sir. New Orleans, yes.
All right.
Yes, but unfortunately, because of Katrina, we was in Oklahoma City.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
that's
right.
right. That's right. They played that one season there. That's right.
I'll slip this in. The white zone is for loading and unloading only, Mark. Just be careful out there. The red zone is for right.
Marc Jackson, everybody here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Thanks, Mark. Safe travels, man.
Good talking to you guys. Have a good one.